by Dat and Lany, bringing you news from Star Wars The Old Republic and beyond. Join us now as we explore the universe and take down the Republic in a galaxy not so far away. Hey everybody, and welcome to another interesting, intuitive, and enjoyable, hopefully, episode of SithTalk. I, of course, am your host, Dedekar, and on the other side of the screen, for those of you viewing, is Lanyard.
Hello, hello.
Get his pizza to digest while he kills himself with a Coke Zero. Well, we obviously had an exciting week in the world of Star Wars. This week we had the big 1.4 patch dropping.
Whoopee!
And then, of course, we had the 1.4a, which, of course, those of us who played this week know that was the reinitiation of the auction house. So I'm sure we're all happy about that as well. We actually did a fair amount this week. You know, my playtime is throughout the week. Lanyard's is more condensed to the weekend. Mm-hmm. However, we got some serious fun in this week, so I'm glad to have that. We not only have a guild name of the week, although we do have several in the pipe. So stick around. We may go over more than one of them. Who knows? But we also have some LFG heroes. I personally have an LFG loser, but I don't remember why he's a loser. I just remember he sucked.
It's good enough.
Some great comments from our folks over on YouTube. But before I touch those, always going to make sure to throw a shout out to audibletrial.com/SithTalk, where you can get your free 30 days of Audible. And, of course, a free book, no doubt. Also, remember, guys, Audible gives you the ability to get the special deals. By actually having an Audible account, you get into special deals on great low prices, a wide variety of books. This last week, let's see, I believe it was George Carlin. It was a George Carlin book. It was Hopefully Jesus Brings Ham, or something to that effect, that I was listening to. And I'm a big George Carlin fan.
Who isn't?
A lot of the book is based on his comedy routines. Mm-hmm. So sections of them are very familiar, and then there's other sections that aren't so familiar to me. So it makes it enjoyable all the way through. If you do pick it up as a full-time base, if you're not a big listener to audiobooks, you can do $15 a month to get one. You can do $24.99 a month and get two books if you're a little bit more advanced. And of course, they have tiers and pricing based on your interest and how much you're going to listen to it. Great way to save money. It works with your iTunes. It works with your iPhone apps, your iPad apps, and of course, there's the Windows-based version that you can use on your main computer. So all around, great service. Definitely suggest you guys get into that.
Works on the Droid, too. So.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, okay. I've got it on my Droid.
Well, just make sure you have a large memory stick in there if you start putting audiobooks on there. Save yourself a little headache.
Yeah.
So as far as downloads and everything, we're doing actually pretty good on downloads. We got almost we got about 600, breaching to 700 this week. Video is still around 100 views. Not quite where we'd like it to be, but getting close. And just to give you guys an update, we are still running the everlasting gobstopper of a mission to get 100 likes on Facebook. We're up to 83 again, if I remember correctly. So very, very near the 100 goal. About 17 more people, and we'll be able to pony up that card for time on the game in the event that you want to stay a paid subscriber. If not, you can get paid for 2 months anyway and enjoy it on us. Now, as far as YouTube goes, saw a new face on YouTube, which I hadn't seen. Recent subscriber here, JJ Goggins is the YouTube name. It says, "Please keep making videos. I always look forward when you guys post a vid. Thank you." Cool. Then, of course, we're always happy that our videos are enjoyed, and as long as Lanyard's computer doesn't jack up too bad, we'll always be able to record. Mm-hmm. Star Wars Freak 130, or Safara as we've come to know him in our guild, says, "Hey guys, sorry haven't had a chance to watch the 2 episodes before, but I'm back and I've been leveling my shadow on the Prophecy of the 5, hoping to get to 50, making it my first pub 50. He's level 24 at the moment, but I also hope to make it my new main doing both PvP and PvE. Great show as always. And then Mr. Dillon popped in and said, great show as always. The Harbinger is still up. It is my main server. I have one other tune on the Jedi Covenant server. You know, so it was nice seeing everybody touching base there. Let's see. Well, we did have a very vigorous week. We'll see. I want to see what Lanyard's take is on it first, and then we'll give you my version of what we went through on Saturday, predominantly. So, Lanyard, what do we got going on? How'd you enjoy your time this week?
Well, I went and got Zuzu running. She's now 40 on Hoth.
So close she can taste it.
Yeah, it's starting to get better. It's nice. Of course, they dropped 1.4, so I removed a couple things from my quick bar. Now that they've become completely useless. Although the overload isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, it's still not the 360 knockback like it was. Instead it's a 180. So everything basically from my shoulders forward gets knocked back, so basically it's half. So anything behind you doesn't get knocked back. Which, again, what's the point? Just anyway. But they killed Electrocute, which is the short. Well, it used to be the short stun that you'd use for emergencies. They've shortened that to 10 meters, so that's become useless because if you get anybody within 10 meters, you're screwed anyway. So got rid of that took that off of my my abilities bar because I don't use it, which is fine because I was able to put that new heal in there, that boost, that big boost heal.
What was it? Unnatural Presence.
Yeah, Unnatural Presence. So I was able to shimmy some things around and put that in there. Did use it once. It wasn't as much of a boost as you were alluding to, but it wasn't bad.
But you're Zuzu's DPS though, right?
Yeah, she's lightning.
Okay.
Yeah, not
so
heals, right? So in other words, for me, it was about the same as much as if I would use a med pack. So it still helps. It's better than the little tiny heals that I have that take time to. So I mean, it's useful, but it's not as.
Okay.
And then of course I did jump on Suiza and did a couple and had to completely reset Suiza because she's commando. So I had to. I couldn't remember how she was set up at all, so I had to go through and I read everything, and it takes me time to calculate what those little things are saying mean. So believe it or not, it took me about 45 minutes to fill it out.
Holy shit.
Well, it's because like I said, I have to read each one and go, okay, well, what does that do for me? Do I even have that ability? Is 3%? I mean, what's 3%? Is that going to be anything worth a shit? Oh yeah, it might be 1%. What's the point? And then of course, you skip that one and you want to go, you put it in the other, and then it says, well, you have to have 5 in this. So it's like, and anyways, it's the whole rebuilding of the talent tree over and over and over again. That's, well, not over and over and over again on this game, but it could be that way. So anyways, to set up Suiza, oh, you know what I did do? The one thing I did do, because of the server consolidations and the times that I keep thinking they're going to keep consolidating, so I don't want to lose Lanyard, right? So I went through and on every server made a Lanyard. That's right.
Oh, Lord.
Every server has a Lanyard on it now. Well, and they're all mine except one. Apparently on I think it's West Coast PvP, I think. It was already taken. So one Lanyard out there in the SWTOR world is not mine. I didn't make one on the German or French that yet. I'm gonna make on the French one. I'll make a Lany. And on German, I don't know what language.
Das Lanyard.
Das Lanyard. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, that's what I did. And then And then I guess you're going to tell us about our weekend
You
runs.
can go over it, man.
Okay.
You had a different point of view than I did. So.
Well, yeah, I had the big guy beating me in the face again. I tried this. Okay, so we did KP normal, right? Story mode.
Yeah.
And with a pug group with me, you, Kiwi, Safara.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it from the guild, right?
Yeah.
And then some pugs. Good group, real good group. We only wiped once on that. And that was that stupid those droids. You know, if somebody went in and busted the CC on the mechanics that repair the droids, and it was just.
Yeah, and that was just a bad pull altogether, because they AoE'd and they called for backup, and suddenly there were guys coming through doors. I didn't even know the fucking door was there. Like, thought we'd missed trash or something.
Yeah, it was a mess. Well, you know what? That's one of those areas where the trash will always get you if you don't just do it just right. So, but yeah, so I tanked that one. Kiwi main tanked pretty much except for 2 of the bosses. Yeah. And I main tanked the big guy, Bone Thrasher, and KP. And KP.
Oh, KP, yeah.
Which was the first time I had main tanked KP. So and we actually killed him. So I didn't fail at it. I did die. Did I die? Yeah, I died on Bone Thrasher, I think. Yes,
yeah, but we brought you back.
But and then Kiwi pulled it back up. Yeah. So so that was fun, and then we went and instantly we decided we're going to go do another ops, and it took us an hour and a half to find out what op we were going to do, and then it took us another hour to get into the op and do it. But we did EV, yes, EV hard mode.
EVHM, yep.
So we did Eternal Vault, and that was a little more challenging because a lot, and I took Landray in on that one. I don't remember. I don't think I even recorded that, which is a shame. But and that one was a little more challenging, but we got through it, and Landray finally got some gear upgrades finally. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I think we did pretty good on that one. And then today, before the show, I got really, really drunk and started playing early. I was on. I went back on Zuzu to start doing Hoth. Oh yes, back the truck up. So yesterday, I'm watching this movie and I get this tweet from Dat. It says, or not tweet, but from Facebook from Dat, says he needs help with the yellow matrix shard, and I happened to know where it was on Nar Shaddaa, and so we went and found it. And of course, I can't fucking do the stupid Mario Brothers shit at all. And it was one of the ones where you had to jump from pipe to pipe, and it wasn't like a long run pipe and then jump and a long run pipe, because I can't do those bad enough. No, it's just, pipe to pipe. It's this little tiny itty bitty, running distance, no room to jump. And of course I spent, I don't know, what'd we spend? Even you had difficulties.
45
minutes before you got up there, yeah. And then you're a lot better at jumping at that stuff, and then even you were having difficulty on it. But then finally you got up there and then went and got it and said, I said, thanks a lot, asshole, with the harpoon. So then we turned me on a duel and pulled me up there, so that was good. So we went and did that. Actually, we got 2 datacrons out of that, because we had to get the first one to get to the second one. So that's it. Oh, no. So now going back forward, jumped on Zuzu, was working with Zuzu, and then Brutis jumped on, and he was playing around. So I said, well, what the fuck? I'll go ahead, and I know I have a lanyard on his server. So I went ahead and went over to his server and started working on Lanyard the Smuggler on his server. And he's a big guy with bright red hair, human, of course, because Lanyards are humans. So bright red hair with the shaved and the lines in it, the line hair, and then he's got the huge mustache and the huge beard. So he's all fucked up. And then he's got the scars. Looks like he got run over by a truck, the ones that are all over his face. So yeah, that's him. So that's what I was doing when you logged on, and I was like, oh hey Dad, how you doing? And I was just about ready to say, well, I'm actually off to bed because I'm getting kind of tired, and then it dawned on me that it was recording. So, and that's brings us to you.
Yes, indeed. Well, obviously we had an eventful week. I was running on Lany because I'm still trying to get her geared up. You know, one of the big things was that Jackson or Kiwi, however we want to use him, use his names, wants to be able to run ops on the pub side as well as the imp side. So I've been trying to work on gear. Now, gear is coming along very slow for my tank, which is ironic or somewhat disturbing, given the fact that you know, it took a little while, but my bounty hunter got geared fairly swiftly, and of course now it was over geared for most of what we end up running on him. But Lany still gets nothing.
That's too bad.
And you know, it is unfortunate, but luckily, you know, I have had some really good runs. I get in, I do my dailies, I do my weekly when it resets. I go and I do dailies on the planet to help get up money to pay for, well, my crew skills on other characters. Because I end up, instead of, you know, gathering the mats, which seems to take longer than anything else, because I don't go out questing, it's all mission based. It takes a lot longer for me to get some of those mats. So I was out and I did dailies on her, and I have to admit that the dailies are a little weird on Ilum. Not as much gankage on Lany as I get on my Imperial side tunes, which is funny because no matter what day it is, it's fairly consistent that the level of imps versus pubs on Ilum is nearly double. There's twice as many imps, but there's always 2 guys on the pub side ponying everybody in our heroic zone on the imp side, which kind of pissed me off because it doesn't make any sense.
So what you're saying is 1 pub equals like 10 imps? Is that what you're trying to say?
If they hit us in the heroic zone, yes. I mean, they've got an entire fucking army. And the worst part is somebody figured out that what you have to do is, because he'll send his companion after you, is you don't attack the companion. You just CC it or walk away from it, whatever, because it's not going to kill you.
Nope.
It's when you attack his companion that the rest of the NPCs recognize he's in combat, and then they come after you, which pissed us all off. We ended up getting to a point that there was a large enough group of us that we had cleared pretty much every one of the NPCs around it and was able to do that on our imp side. Now, I don't have that issue on the pub side. On the pub side, I quite literally go out to the heroic zone with 2 buddies. We go and we kill it, and it's over with.
Right.
It made no sense because I had been told that, you know, when I did my pub dailies on Ilum, that there's a guy over there and he's blah 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 blah, you know, causing all kinds of havoc, and he's not. We didn't have a single issue out of him, which could surprise the hell out of me because I'd never done it. You know, so I haven't gotten into any ops on her yet. I'll hopefully get some gear up this week. I am changing out my hard drive, so that may slow me down a lot. But at least I'll get rid of my defective hard drive and get an upgrade. So hopefully the new hard drive will be more hardy and faster than my current one, and it'll run everything smoother. Now I did get Gazini up to, I want to say nearly 30 now. And I was doing that while burning up his biomed. So now his biomed's at 400.
Right.
So I'll have to figure out how I'm going to unlock all the adjunct or additional stems and stuff. So now I'm in a position where I don't necessarily have to pay for my stems. I'm going to if I buy the Exotech ones. But until he hits 50, I'll have to buy the Exotechs or just take the slightly lower grade version. But I got some great healing cubes that I was using during both of our raids on Rakat and on Naga. Not a lot of movement on my low-end tunes. I jump in, I do the PvP daily, I do the the Flashpoint daily, and I'm back off again so that I could gear up my healer and my other tank, or my only tank at this point in time, Lany. But got into the story mode KP, which was actually somewhat of a surprise. You know, Kiwi is the one that normally gets all of our groups together. We've had some great additions to the guild. Several of our listeners, that being Safara, Kiwi, obviously. Brutis has got a character that just started up in there. So a lot of our listeners are coming over and joining the guild, and we've almost got a full ops team now for ourselves. So if we could get a few more active members, a few more active listeners who play daily, as Kiwi knows, it's not an obligation. If you don't want to op with us, that's fine. But Kiwi likes running ops, so he of course jumps in, gets us, goes, come on guys, get on your 50, let's go. And we jump in, we get an op done. We ran through that KP story mode, and I understand KP is like blowing your nose in wet toilet paper. It goes down in no time at all. But you've been the only one of us to actually complete KP on any mode, and I hadn't even had the luxury. So getting through on story mode, having a fairly sweet and smooth run was a phenomenal feat for me. I was a little worried because I'm predominantly Kalomi geared on Nagajalokia, and of course it's not Kalumi as in I get set bonuses because I didn't want to look like everyone else wearing Kalumi. I got the social Voss gear, so I don't get those set bonuses, which puts me at a slight disadvantage, but I didn't notice any problems.
But you look sexy.
Yes. Well, I would look sexier if they didn't change the fucking
I don't know.
gear.
I like that blue, though. I kind of like that blue. It gives it gives it more pop.
Yeah, well, it gives it more pop, but I like the fact that it made her look kind of Jedi-esque or pissed-eyed Jedi-esque.
Pissed off Jedi.
And, but I got through, and I was healing it, and I don't remember the healer on the other side. I don't know if it was Solomir or not, but Solomir was the healer we had for the EV hard mode. And I want to say he was the same one we kept. But
I think so.
He was running the puzzle bot, and I had to heal that one predominantly by myself. And I kept everybody alive. I was dumbfounded. The funniest,
that's right.
Up part about that whole run was the fact that the only person to die on the puzzle bot was
you.
Me,
yeah.
Because I had been tapping to get some force to be able to heal everybody else up, and right before the boss died, I got hit with a grenade.
Yeah, that was crazy too. I forgot to say that because we did it story mode, and because they've nerfed it a little bit, and because the guys that were running the puzzle just weren't getting it, I thought it was hilarious because Kiwi says, "Hey Lanyard, how you doing on stacks?" I was like, "Oh, I'm doing fine. I've got," because I was watching my health because usually when you get 5 stacks, it starts dropping pretty quick. Well, my health was still max, so I figured I only had 1 or 2 stacks. And people that are watching the video, if they have it on big screen, they'll see that I can't really see my buff because it's kind of the target is overlapping the buff a little bit. So I'm looking. I said, "Well, I got 1 stack," and it dawned on me that's 10 stacks. I've got 10 stacks. I'm not losing any health. There was a couple times where I dropped down to like 40, but then you popped me right back up. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing fine. So he's like, okay, so he ran up. So he's up doing the puzzle and then running back down and tanking and then running back up and doing it. It should not happen this way, but it was fun. It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome healers.
Yeah, and I kept hearing Lanyard going, "Holy shit, you're doing a great job. Keep it up." And I'm like, I'm trying my ass off here.
I'm breaking my key.
I went and since I figured they were going to reset points for everybody with the new with the unnatural presence and everything, which they didn't, which confused me.
Yeah.
But because they did that, I went and I did some research on YouTube and I did some research on some of the websites. I don't read all of my talents and shit all the time, but what I did do is I went and I wanted to find the most proficient healing spec I could, and I ended up finding one that made way more sense once I started using it. The Unholy Presence pretty much kills the whole issue with losing health from, well, I don't remember what they call it in this game, but in WoW they called it life tap, where we would tap our life to regain in this game force, in that game mana, and with the Unholy Presence, quite literally, I tap about a quarter, almost half of my health, and I get almost all my force back. I hit Unholy Presence, and I heal myself for 6 to 7K with my spec. So I'm pretty fucking impressed with that heal, especially from a healer point of view. Previously, I'd have to sit in one of my purple puddles to regen both very quickly. Now I don't have to so much because I actually sat on the ledge and Kiwi's like, "What the fuck you doing up there?" And I was like, "I don't know. This is where I stood on Rakat, so I'm just going to stand here now."
Right.
And there was almost no one out of my heal range. Even with the faux pas on the puzzle, everything ran really smooth all the way through it. I just felt like a champ. I was dropping puddles, running. Even when we were doing Jarg and Zorn, running back and forth, making sure you guys were both pumped up.
Yeah. Well, what was crazy too
was
because that fight went way longer than it should have. I mean, because of the screw up, not the screw up. I'm not gonna say it was a screw up because the guys that were running the puzzle had never really ran it before, and they weren't. Because every time I ran the puzzle, I don't know if you ran with me before, but when we'd run the puzzle guys were talking. Okay, pass me 3. Okay, pass me 2. Okay, pass me 1. All right, fire. 3, 2, 1, fire. Those guys weren't talking. They were in vent, but they weren't talking. So they were just kind of having to do it by look-see, which I think is what was screwing them up. So that's why Kiwi went up and just did the whole puzzle by himself. Come back down, tank. Okay, go back up. It was a lot longer. The healing was great. I think it was because it was story mode. They removed the stun bots. They removed the grenade bot or the proximity bots. They increased the amount of time before he rages before he enrages. So that helped a lot on that. But it was still a ton of fun doing that.
And then, after that, like you said, we decided we'd go and run another hard mode, or another story mode. We weren't sure. And then we were going through the list, and, we could have went straight into one of the hard modes, or one of the story modes, but unfortunately one of the DPS was already saved to it. For some odd reason, Kiwi, we wanted to go and do Denova. Unfortunately, Kiwi, his ops didn't reset this week for some fucking reason, so he couldn't go and do Nova. And yeah, we did bust our balls on that. We ended up getting into the EV hard mode, which I was a little apprehensive about healing. Luckily, I was bailed out of that job because we found it was easier to find a healer at that point than it was a good DPS.
This was crazy.
So I brought Rakat in, and I told him, I said, well, if we can find a second healer, good. I'll bring Rakat, no problems. And we went through we went through EV, and it was smooth as butter run. I mean, we had a slight faux pas at the very beginning. We ended up having to find was it a second tank at first? No.
Yeah, we had to find another tank because of the turrets. The opening turrets is the only thing we needed a second tank for. So yeah.
And I mean, we ended up finishing, I think, all the way through, no issues all the way through the run. It was pretty phenomenal. I was able to, no slight to the people who helped us, but able to get some bounty hunter gear for my future off spec of healing. So I've got almost a full Kalumi and Rakata set for my healing spec, and most importantly of all, I got my fucking Corvette off of SOA.
Yeah, that's right. It was nice.
That was pretty tits because I saw it come up, and I'm like, pass.
Car.
Ooh. And I'm like, oh my god.
And everybody went need. Yep. That's awesome. I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you got it.
Everybody was needing it. I was sitting there like clenching my fist, holding on to for dear life, and I'm like, fuck you guys, because I'm like. Because we're in bed, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, fuck you guys, I'm with it.
Yeah.
But by the way, thank you for helping us on the run.
Right. Okay, now you can leave now. Yeah. Oh. Well, and Landry got a lightsaber, a chest piece, and a trinket out of that. Relic out of that.
And I think in that run, was it Safara brought? Well, Safara brought his operative on the first run, on the story mode, and then he brought his actual his Safara character on the hard mode, and he was getting a little bit of shit because he didn't have a lot of gear together at the beginning of it, but not a lot of us do. It did when we started doing runs, and that's kind of what I like about being able to go in as a guild is. If we can go in as a guild, we can take one or two guys as long as we're not destroying our ability to take the raid down. We were able to take a few guys in, help them out with gear. You know, a lot of people, even at this point, I know some people don't want to fucking believe it, but a lot of people at this point haven't even had the chance to really work up their gear or save up the comms. Because, you know, when you don't have active members, when you don't have a lot of friends on, it does get really arduous to get in and do anything. My wife is, you know, having that kind of issue where she wants to be able to play with us, but she also wants to level up her Malachi character. But then she got upset because my trooper, you know, I just blasted. I finished off those last 6 levels like nobody's business, and you know, she's still stuck at the level that I left her at. And you know, now we did a couple of did a couple of freebie runs for her. You were on your trooper, and I was on mine, and we took her through Red Reaper a couple of times. But then, you know, even in her case, nonstop running Red Reaper isn't going to get, you know, gonna really turn your nuts on, because you don't want to have to run the same fucking instance 1,000 times just to get a couple of levels. So she get, you know, easily frustrated, and I'm sure Safara's probably feeling the same way. You know, Safara's been leveling up, and at one point, you know, he was on all the time, and you know, leveling up characters now, because like us, he's an altaholic, and he's, you know, when you're an altaholic, your first inclination is not, all right, gear. Your inclination is
next.
I'm 50 next character. And you know, I do everything I can to fight that urge, so that I can get certain characters geared up the way they need to be. Naga Jalokia's, her all but one alt is either Kalumi or Tiny's complete sets.
You mean your companions?
Every one of her companions.
Yeah.
And of course, she's sitting in Kalumi, Rakata, and Black Hole combination. Right. So, you know, and it's really enjoyable.
Lanyard's is pretty close to that. I mean, give or take. I mean, not everything. I mean, some of the companions might have like an earpiece that's not, or something like that. Especially the main companions that I play, that I bring out, are decked out. So Mako is decked out. She's got Rakata, and the little Mandalorian kid, he's decked out. But other than that, it's just like, I got this piece. Galt can use it. You know, it's.
But you know, we want to make sure, and I was able to capture a couple of names from the raid that weren't our guild, and then I threw a few of the names of the guildies that were in the hard mode in there. Warzawa is how I'm going to say that name. Warzawa was the second healer that backed us up in the EV hard mode. I'd actually PvP'd with that character quite a bit. Very geared, very cool. There was Siva, which I believe was one of the DPS. Shalom, which was another one of our DPS that we picked up. Solomir, which was I want to say that was the other healer. And then, of course, we had Safara that was in our raid, which is also now in our guild and a fan of the show. And I put Landry on the list because, of course, you were there, even though you were going to be here on the show. Of course, Kiwi was there, as always, being our pro tank. And I was there on Rakat. You know, so those are, I want to say LFG heroes, but really we did look for them through, or we did, you know, spam chat to try to get that going. Now, the story mode we spam chat for so that we could get together a good group. But we ended up queuing up with the story mode, and for the people who are confused, you still get the comms. You don't know what story mode you're going into, but you're going to get the comms.
Right. It's one of the groups, and that's what we said too. Is what it's gonna do is it's gonna look at who's locked out of what, and then it's gonna you know, take those out, and then so whatever everybody can go into.
But yeah, it wasn't just enjoyable that we got into an op. It wasn't just enjoyable that we got into 2 ops, but to go through 2 ops, story mode and then hard mode on two different ops, and to have nearly butter run on both of them. Yeah, and in our cases, and Safara's, you know, multiple characters. Hopefully, one day one of us will pony up the tank slot. Although I want to say Kiwi really does enjoy it as assassin tank.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lanyard does fine. I do okay when I start tanking, as long as I pretty much know the fight. Like KP, I know that thing backwards and forwards. I mean, I've done it enough times. EV, still pretty close. Other than that fucked up goofy puzzle thing, I don't know how to do that. I mean, I don't know how to do the puzzle. I look at it and go, what? They just hit it right. Okay. I don't know what I'm trying to line up. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean, those 2, I can tank them. So, I mean, I know how to do that.
But Let's see now. I do have 2 LFG heroes on the pub side of our server. Maul Launder and Diablo Dog. They were helping my gimp of a Republic Trooper tank make it through yet another fucking run on the same fucking instance. Kaon under goddamn siege.
You love that one, and you know it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it enough that every time I get queued, that's what I fucking go into on hard.
What do you want, Lost Island?
Well, no, I don't queue up for Lost Island. She's not geared enough as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, it would be nice just to, you know, I don't know, get something else. You know, of course, I did do, what was it? I want to say it was, I did a Naga, I did a hard mode version of, no, it was a regular version of Battle of Valum. Or not, hold on, no, False Emperor. False Emperor.
Oh, I like that one. I've only done that once. Can you believe that? I've only done it once, and it was with us.
I get False Emperor and Battle of Valum on every one of my characters when I run specifically, you know, non-hard mode. Anytime I run a hard mode Flashpoint, it's always Kaon under siege. It doesn't matter who I'm on.
Wow.
And I actually got into, after the raid, I played for a little bit longer and got into a hard mode Kaon under siege with Zafara.
Oh, right on.
And it was with the same tank I was in group with when Zafara logged back in.
Cool.
So he already knew my ability to keep him up, and we burned through that place with no issues. So that was a lot of fun. I do have, and I don't remember why, and it's probably because I try to force the notion of idiots out of my groups. But Obi Leet is an Obi Tard. He is my LFG loser for the week on the imp side of Prophecy of the Five. Complete fucking doofus. I don't even want to remember why I fucking hated him, but I hate him. He's dead to me.
He's dead to me.
He force chokes kittens.
That's terrible.
And that's how much I hate him.
Force choking puppies is a different thing, but kittens, no, that's mean.
But we have a lot of runners for guild names of the week. I want to make sure that I don't juke Jubu, and I'm going to make sure to use one of his this week, and then I'm going to steal the one that I liked the most out of the list. I got an in-game mail from Jubu with Fear and Loathing in Mos Espa, which I thought was an interesting play on words. I'm assuming Mos Espa is somewhere on the planet on Tatooine.
Mos Espa, I think it's Mos Espa, Mos Espa, something like that. Yeah, Tatooine.
And then the other one is Your Mom's Companion. I was heading over to the raid, and I was like, wait, what? And I thought the character name was Your Mom. And then that was her companion.
Yeah.
But then when I clicked the other person, it had a name, and it said so-and-so's companion. I was like, okay, well, what? And so I clicked the guy again, and I was like, oh, that's just wrong.
It's cool.
But Your Mom's Companion is on the Imperial side, of course, and just a really fun, guild name. We do have a few more in the pipeline, and if you do decide to, you can always email us at SithTalk@gmail.com and let us know any unique ones that you found. I know a lot of people. I still see the tags that say, Guild X at Prophecy or Guild X at Fat Man. And if you guys, if your guild name shows up like that, let us know. Let us know, because I'm thinking that right now I'm still saying that that's going to be something along the lines of why you transferred over and now you're waiting on a guild name change. But man, that was my week. Just so many fucking ops. I really hope that I can get everything reinstalled smooth. Saturday we can bang it out like we did this week. Hopefully hopefully on Tuesday I can maybe get into a Denova group. I really wish you could, or you had the ability to log on during the week, because I'd love to get you into Denova or Denova hard mode.
Oh, I would like to do that. But the problem, it'd be fine if I didn't have to work the next day, because we get these things started, and it's 8 o'clock. Let's look for a group, okay, and then 11:30 we finally get into it, and I'm like, I gotta be at work in 3 hours.
Dude. That does remind me. I got one last story.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
As I said, me and Kiwi ran Denova. I don't remember if it was hard mode or story mode or whatever, but we got in there and we were in TeamSpeak with this really decent group. Most everybody knew what they were doing. The guy who got the group together was the off tanker. I guess he's really the off tank, because Kiwi did most of the tanking in there. The guy's gear was kind of me. His health was really low. His experience was minimal at best, because he swore to everybody, I know the fights, and he never talked in game, so something tells me he's like 12. And, you know, I'm not bashing young gamers, because a lot of young gamers have a lot better reflexes. You and I often talk about how, you know, our hands just can't do that shit that fast. I say that all the time. I've got monstrous gorilla fingers, so once arthritis gets kicking into full force, there's no sense in having more than the 3 buttons I have on my mouth. On my mouse.
On your mouth?
Yeah. But you know, I really don't need more than the 3 buttons right now. You know, once arthritis kicks in, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
But, you know, the dude, okay, so we talked about the tank fight. We got past the twins that we, for some odd reason, could not keep separated at the first fight. But then we get to the tanks, and I know nothing about Denova. I'm just listening to Kiwi, you know, in vent, and I downloaded TeamSpeak and got in there with them so I could hear the battle, you know, everything's explained straight away. And we get in there, and they're like, okay, you're going to stand off to the side of the tank. As soon as we start the fight, get on the tank. And I'm like, okay. So I go with the edge that looks like it's the most, you know, the furthest down angle, and I jump up on the back of it. The tank couldn't do it. He's running along the side and getting me and the other DPS hammered.
Killed. Yeah.
Because we're in front of the tank. And the healer's just going nuts. And he's like, hey, dude, do you not know how to fucking jump? And one guy goes, I bet his space bar's broken. You know, and like he couldn't jump up. And if that, like, and when he finally did, what happened was the healer had to run out of the shield, okay?
Yeah.
Run out of the shield. He jumped up, ran into the front of the tank, pulled the tank up so that the tank could take where the tank needed to take the tank.
Wow. Was he a fat tank? Because he, you know, big guy. Maybe he just couldn't.
Body type 3. He's a body type 3. So it wasn't a dimensional issue with his character.
Right.
And that's what got me. Like, I'm just like, because I'm getting up there, I have no problems. I've never been here before.
Right.
Pow, 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 and then run. You know, and then at one point he mistargeted it and hit the shield generator. So while the bombs are dropping, we finish off the NPCs towards the very end of the, you know, that part of the phase. We jump right back up there, and every time he had to get back up on the tank, dude, it wasn't fucking happening. And, you know, Kiwi, to his credit, man, he did a great job in there as usual. Kiwi, God bless him, he's never a slouch when it comes to knowing his fights and knowing his tanking abilities. We get all the way to the end, and we're like, you know, not a great run, but it felt smooth. We were all having a good time still. Get to the very last boss, General something or other. I want to say Vazax, but...
Vargath.
Vargath?
Something like that,
okay.
yeah.
So we get to the General. We kill... the first try, we get all the way up to the General, and he wipes the group. Because what happened was... the General gives you the tank this fantastic debuff that puts big piles of shit on the ground, and everybody has to stay out of them. So the tank's job is to get the debuff and then run away from the group. And dude who swears to God he knows the fucking fight runs straight through the group of DPS and healers. So it's like bloop bloop dead.
Dead. Leaving a trail of dead bodies behind him.
And then I don't even remember what he did on the second pool, but the guy was like, listen, the guys were like, listen, we only have like one more. I don't, you know, one guy was getting wife aggro, one guy had to go to work, some people had to go to school, whatever. And we were basically burning the cooldown on Denova, but it had been a smooth run. Literally, no loot for me needed, even though I got jibbed for being the lowest geared person in there because I didn't have an average of 61 score on my gear. But you know, we get all the way through there, so, you know, fairly smooth. I did faux pas. I got called a retard once in comparison to the tank who got called a retard on every pool.
Yeah.
Not Kiwi, the off tank that shall not be named. I wish I would have wrote his name down so I could warn you guys about this retard.
Put him on your ignore list.
Okay, so there's a puzzle boss in Denova.
The minefield.
Right, the minefield. Well, I was only half paying attention because they were telling us there's ads that you have to kill. So I was kind of watching for the ads to spawn from behind us. Well, they're like, okay, dude, run forward, go, go, go. And I wasn't thinking, thought they were talking to me, and I ran forward and died.
Oh.
and the guy who basically ended up being more or less the raid leader because he was the one giving the instructions to retard. He was like, ooh, burn, bitch. And I was like, I got called a retard once in a raid in an op I've never been to. I'm good. That's hey, fucking bananas.
1 for me, and, 15 for the tank, you know.
And So that was the Nova.
Yeah.
Like I said,
really
I'm hoping to get into it again.
I really want to do that one. Because way back when we were still running with complications, they instructed me to download the Denova YouTube and study it because they wanted, because they were having me as an off tank.
Yeah.
And so I did. He said they told me to study the minefield one the most because that one's a bitch, and you have to, because there's quite a, when you're running, I don't know, I guess they changed it a little bit, but before when you were doing the mines, when you were clearing the minefield, there was some extra stuff you had to do. You had to go stealth and then jump down and pull out the droid, and anyway, so I really want to do that one, especially considering now that TBH is the TFB is out, and everybody's wanting to do that. I'm like, dude, I haven't even finished fucking EC yet. I want to finish the Nova, I want to finish that one at least, and I like to do the other ones in hard or in nightmare modes, I've done KP and tried KP in hard nightmare, or finished KP and finished SOA. EV in Nightmare. It's the only Nightmare one I've completed, and that was and I got drugged through on that really because I was still on lanyard and he still was kind of half geared. But yeah, I want to do those. So I mean,
and Safari can attest. If you guys get into the guild and your gear is questionable, I'll run hard modes with you on my healer or my DPS. It doesn't matter. Yep. Kiwi will do the same. We all do our dailies, so we all end up running hard modes anyway. If I'm on a low end alt and you need to gear up, let me know. We'll run some shit. I ain't got no problem with that. But man, that's the long and the short of my week, and it was a long week to go over. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the stories. We do have a little bit of patch notes. We're gonna try to go over some, if not most of them. It's a fucking huge patch note, but I'll get to bitch about some of other things I noticed during my week when we go over the patch notes. Right now, let's see, let's juice up. Let's go to Sudo.
Go to Sudo? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello everyone, this is Sudo, your Galactic Librarian, starting with Chapter 4. It was nearly night when Corson appeared on the twice-trodden trail, pulling a makeshift sledge crafted from a mess table. With thermal blankets and the remaining food packs heaped upon it, Corson had needed the help of the Force a few times to get it down the mountain. Straps from pouches cut into his shoulders and neck, leaving ugly welts. The single campfire had become several. He was glad to see them. Ravelin appeared glad to see him too, after an initial surprised reaction. "The beacon, is it working?" "I pushed the button myself," Corson announced, and we wait. Ravelin's eyes narrowed in the smoky haze. "You know where we are. You spoke to someone." Corson's attention had already turned to unloading the packs to anxious crew members. Ravelin lowered his voice. "Where are your Masai?" Corson didn't look up. "All dead. You don't think I wanted to do this myself, do you?" The quartermaster's crimson face paled a little. "No, of course not, Commander." He looked back at the summit, fading in the surrounding darkness. "Perhaps others of us could have a look at the transmitter. We might..." "Ravelin, if you want to go back up there, you're welcome to. But I'd bring a team with some heavy equipment, because if we don't get some supports under that ship, the next person who boards could take it on its last flight." Corson set down the last pack and stretched his neck. "Where are your Masai?" Ravelin stared. "All dead." Corson stepped free at last from the cabling he used to drag the sledge. The bonfire blazed invigilantly. So why was he so cold? "Sela, where's Devore?" He looked at her coldly. Sela stood, her tarnished gold uniform flickering in the firelight. "Where is Devore?" he repeated. "He went up." She stopped herself. No one was supposed to leave camp, and now the look in Yaru Corson's eyes. She squeezed Jared, who woke crying. The pep talk began, as many of Corson's did, with a summation of the things everyone already knows. But this speech was different, because there were so many things nobody knew, himself included. The assurance that Naga Sadow still valued their cargo rang true for all, and while they were clearly a long way from anywhere, few could imagine the Sith Lord's desire exceeding his reach, even if they were less sanguine about what Sadow felt about them. Corson knew his crew would accept that someone somewhere was looking for them. They just didn't need to know how long that might take. It was too soon for that. Sadow, he would figure out later. This place couldn't be about what was next. It had to be about now. By the speech's end, Corson found himself growing unusually philosophically. It was our destiny to land on this rock, and we are bound to our destiny. For a time, it looks like, we're also bound to this rock, he said. So be it. We're Sith. Let's make it ours. He looked toward a satellite campfire and spotted Gloyd and the remains of his gunnery crew bristling against the breeze. He waved them to the main bonfire. It would be another hard night, Corson knew, and the supplies he'd brought would soon run out. But he knew something else, something he'd seen that no one else had. The winged beast had carried a rider. The Force was with them. Gripping her son, Seela watched the circle break, nodding. Human Sith set to their tasks, stepping around Ravelin, the master without Messiah. He stood aloof, commensurating with the Red Sith and the few other surviving aliens. Energized and triumphant, Yaru Corson confirmed with Gloyd, keeping his confidence as he always had to the huge alien, too strong to be defeated, too stupid to betray him, and dumb to the Force. The perfect ally. Turning away from the Hawk, Corson saw Seela, a new land to be broken to his will, and no one to stand in his way. He smiled. Alright, everyone, tune in next week for the second part of Chapter 4.
And we're back, of course, another great episode from the wife, and looking forward to future episodes as the book goes on. I think Chapter 4 might be the last one, so I don't know what she's going to read next, but always look forward to hearing the story from the wife. As I say, I like to treat it like my own way of getting bedtime stories from my wife. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I should have probably proof listened, because hopefully it wasn't in stereo again.
It sounded okay.
Well, hopefully she recorded in mono. I'll have to double check that file after I get off the podcast. And that, of course, brings us to the news.
Here's your galactic news. Look what you missed while you were sleeping.
All right, so of course, you guys know we got the enormous patch 1.4 this week. Gonna read through it for you guys, so in case you're too lazy to read it yourself, you can get your own version of an audiobook version of the 1.4 patch. And this week, of course, because I like the way it's printed, I'm getting it off of the Darth Hater site, as I do with most of my information. God bless you, Darth Hater, and thank you for your cooperation with not suing me for reading shit off of your website. You know, obviously we've got the new Terror from Beyond, Terror from Beyond operation. You know, the Assassin planet, you travel through a remote station planet where the Dreadmasters have commandeered an ancient Gree hypergate in order to unleash the untold horrors upon the galaxy. Available in 8 and 16-man story and hard modes. More challenging information coming soon. Of course, they're speaking of the nightmare modes, which they're still working on the design for, so that they can ramp up the difficulty between the two. From what I've heard, fairly difficult. If you're just getting into it, they did release a new Dreadguard gear, which I would like to say isn't all that impressive. It's a respray of the campaign gear, which is kind of unfortunate. I do like the coloring for my sword a little bit better. I don't know if anybody else thinks that that's kind of cheap or not. With all the other shit going on, I'll just say, at least they gave us a new op, and the gear is leveled up so that it will be significant for future installations. They also said they made significant changes to the crowd control to address the amount of player control they can be subjected to at once, which will be in the combat and classes, which is below. In general, the crowd control that we're talking about, it's things like, Lanyard said earlier, electrocute, where now you basically have to be within a very short radius of them. He and I both joked, it reminded us of, people who played World of Warcraft will remember that if you played a Tauren, they had the ability called Warstomp. If you were retarded, you made a Tauren Hunter. Hi there. And it was basically, the reason it was called retarded was because if your racial was Warstomp, and something could get close enough to you that you could stun them with Warstomp, you failed as a hunter because you didn't keep things at distance.
Yep.
Whether when it came to NPCs, and my feeling is exactly the same with that. The ability to knock somebody back being changed. I don't like the fact that my sword can no longer knock people from around them. Although the conal effect is helpful in certain situations. They did augment it to make it feel a little bit better, I guess. The visualization, at least on my sword, was changed to where it looks like a wave of lightning now. Yeah. The knockback doesn't feel like it pushes people as far back, and now it does a small amount of damage, between 700 and 800.
I don't like
maybe.
I don't like the animation.
Yeah, I mean and you and I had put it to the test, like. You did the equivalent of jet boost, I believe it was, on one of your characters when we were in PvP, and the jet boost still has a 360 knockback.
The trooper,
right.
What is that? An EMP pulse or something like that.
I'm not sure. I don't have it on mine because she's a tank, but theirs is still an all around, a circular knockback. So the fact that only specific people got the conal knockback was kind of bizarre. Yeah. I was thinking about it from a perspective of like my bounty hunter, it being called jet boost on that character. The idea of jet boost, it wouldn't knock people from in front of you. Right. You'd have to make it retarded and knock people from behind you, which would suck for anybody. But I still don't like the conal effect to it. Ground target reticule. Damn it.
Reticulal. Now I can't even say it right.
Yeah, see, fucker.
The circle.
Reticle for the ability queued during another ability's channel no longer cleared. When the channeled ability is finished, players no longer receive an error message, cannot cast while moving, when moving or stopping, and then immediately using a ground targeted ability. So that would be like casting lightning or death from above. When a player is defeated immediately after applying a damage over time effect to another player, the player is no longer occasionally put back in combat after revive. Under the Jedi Knight, Force Sweep's time has been adjusted for the ability to execute faster. Force Stasis has a new animation. For the Sentinels, guarded by the Force now lasts 4 seconds, down from 5. Zen, or the Shai Chao form, has been redesigned. Now the Shai Chao form is active when Zen consumes 1 charge every 0.5 seconds, generating 2 focus for each consumed. Valor's Call can no longer be activated when you've already got 30 seconds of centering. Focus Sentinels, the Zephyrian Slash has been redesigned. It now gives Strike, Zealous Strike, Slash, Blade Storm, and Dispatch a 50% chance per point to reduce the active cooldown of Force Sweep and Zealous Leap by 0.5 seconds per point. Swift Slash now additionally affects Dispatch. Saber Strength now additionally affects Dispatch. Singularity stacks of Singularity now additionally reduce the force cost of Force Sweep by 12.5% per point per stack. Shin-Tao Masteries armor penetration has been increased to 15% per point. For Guardians, Vigilance, Gathered Strength, and bonus damage provided by each stack has been reduced by 2%. Oh, Jesus. I'm not going to read. I was going to try to read all this, but I cannot read that fast, and it's going to get boring.
Yeah, it'll be an hour and a half.
Sorry, guys, I just can't. I want to.
Skip through some of it. What's miscellaneous got?
Well, fuck me. I have good luck getting the miscellaneous. Let me see what we got here.
That's always
enjoying dinner. Yeah, it's just hard because there's so much that changed.
Yeah.
And normally I would happily go over it.
Oh, well,
here's one that we're kind of happy about.
We kind of glazed over these when they were putting it on the
About
PTS.
2 episodes ago.
Yeah. I mean, they've changed a little bit from the PTS, but not that much.
Yeah, if anything, they just added more definitions to what they had changed. Of course, one of the things Lany and I were somewhat happy about was the players can now use color match the chest for their companions, and can show or hide the companion headgear. Which did that work? Because I know you had one character that it was normally the headgear wouldn't cover their head, so it didn't matter.
No, it's a good. With most of my characters, a good majority of them can't wear headgear anyway as far as companions, so it's not a big deal. But like Mako, Mako had I think it's the Ricotta headpiece that was like a shield. It kind of like covered this much of her face, and it originally was like kind of gray. It looked okay, but then when I hit the match color, it turned it gold to match the rest of it. Now it looks really cool because it shines really nice. But yeah, I mean, a good majority of them, not much of a difference. It was kind of nice to put a couple of the tunes that were kind of mixed with yellow and reds, put them all in one color. So it's kind of nice. The one that I did like was the new option to return to where you started from the from the flashpoints and the operations.
Being able to do that after flashpoints and operations is actually really cool.
However, I did notice that in our KP, remember when we wiped, and it said, okay, would you like to revive? You said, and then you said, yeah, I'd like to go back to the start area, right? So you'd go back to the starting area, but it gave us the option of exiting or going back. So I was like, just exit, that's what I want to do, and it rezzed us right there, which they weren't done killing us, so it wiped us again because we all popped up right where we died, which was really weird because normally we go back and then have to walk back in. So that might be something that needs to be tweaked. Yeah.
And let's see, companions no longer have their weapons drawn on the player's starship, which is what were they going to do? Mutiny?
Right.
Under gathering, it says several gathering nodes that previously were inaccessible. For instance, some that were underneath the terrain can now be harvested. So a little less buggy issue there. A more important section, which I think will probably influence the fact that we had such a great run this week. Flashpoint and operations. Flashpoints in general. It says while participating in a flashpoint conversation, using escape to cancel the conversation, and then pressing X to close the window no longer causes the player to exit the flashpoint, which is good. Now, Can Under Siege, there was a well-used bug there where we could all hop on the wall and not have a problem. It says under this, it says players can no longer stand on the wall in order to trivialize the mechanics. That is a fallacy. It can still be done.
Is that where you jump up and let all the ghouls just kind of go and then evade?
It takes a little bit of standing in just the right spot to get it to evade appropriately, but I actually ran it right after the patch on Lany and stood up there with a thumb up my ass.
Great.
And we watched it debug.
And now that you've told everybody that listens, they're going to go in there and fix it. Thank you.
They haven't fixed it yet. I've said it every time I
run
Chaotic Siege.
I bet you if we hadn't have said it a few episodes back, that nobody would have fixed it.
Wookie, go back to sleep.
Unless Javeth was running with a group and he's like, hey, that's not cool.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we had one group that ran it, and some people had jumping issues, so we actually had to use the gun. It wasn't that bad. But then we've had I had, like I said, on my imp side, I did it on Nagajalokia. Had no issues healing everybody. I did have a little issue with the fact that people weren't listening. I said, stand by me, and this will go smooth. And they didn't want to stand by me. They wanted to run around like retards and chase the ads. But nonetheless, I got in on my pub side, and the guy's like, hold on, let's dork it. And we had one guy pull the thing. I was jumping up the side. He pulled the guy up, and they evaded. I mean, so if they fixed it, I don't know how the fuck they fixed it, but they didn't.
Still doable.
The only way I think they're going to be able to fix that, to be honest, is to change the terrain, remove the wall. And I know that's probably a harder way to fix it, because what they're just trying to do is you can jump up.
Or redesign the wall to where you can't catch a ledge.
Yeah. Which I don't know which is going to be harder. In all earnest, if you're going to run it the right way, you're going to run it the right way. If you're going to run it, and take advantage of the glitches, unfortunately, sometimes there's nothing you can do. There's no sense in fighting that.
Yep.
The other thing is the flighting lights in this flashpoint now render correctly in low detail.
That's nice.
Which I really didn't run a lot of ops when I was a lot of flashpoints when I was running in low detail. So. Under the Lost Island, this was one that we more or less covered previously. Transgenic sample 11's overall damage has been decreased in story mode. Project Savrock no longer spits wreck gut in story mode. In story mode, Dr. Lorik no longer casts satchel charge or corrosive smash cooldown. Smashes cooldown. No longer does the satchel charge, and the cooldown on corrosive smash has been increased. Dr. Simlo and Dr. Prodnix are now easier to defeat. Putrid Shayclaw's infectious bite is no longer festering rot in story mode, and no longer causes festering rot in story mode. LR5 Sentinel Droid's discharge gives players a 1.5 second warning in story mode and a 3 second warning in story mode before activating its ground effect. Players can now move the impending effect away from the group or tank. Plasma Arc no longer has an activation time and is executed while moving. Incinerate is correctly marked as an area of effect damage. And in story mode, LR5 droid dispatch droid's discharge ground effects have a longer duration before growing in size. Excuse me, and is limited to 3 active effects at one time, which basically means you can kite the bubbles around a lot easier. In Ethelis, players who fall into the power core are now defeated more reliably, so you're no more standing there with a thumb up your ass, which I've had happen.
Yeah.
Because there's a knockback effect, and boom, you fall through the system. Or I did one, it was like a force leap I did to somebody, and I fell through the world, and just got stuck down there. Under operations, weekly operations now give 30 daily commendations. Galactic operations now award 10 daily commendations and 8 black holes. Galactic crisis points now award 10 commendations and 8 black holes. Explosive conflict now gives 10 black holes and crafting materials. In EV, the Annihilator droid XRR3 can now be attacked more reliably with abilities that require standing behind the target. Characters no longer occasionally become invisible when moving through the lava tunnels. Corrected the location of misplaced ancient power source during the SOA encounter. No?
No, I saw one the other day. Remember when Landray was standing in midair and then fell and should have died, but actually landed on a platform? There was a one of those little floating things that shouldn't have been there. That's one of the things I'm thinking they're supposed to fix, but it was still there. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. I mean, it's just whoopee. I mean, it's there or it's not. There's nothing we can do about it.
In the explosive conflict, the Ugnaught Engineer's firebomb now correctly displays the visual effects on the ground for the full duration of the effect. The console that deactivates Colonel Vorgoth's minefield is now positioned in a more accessible location, which was what I helped Kiwi kill one guy, and then I ran back to the group. Damaging Toth and Zorn too quickly no longer causes their health threshold mechanics to overlap in all difficulty modes. Chests in explosive conflict no longer contain black hole combinations. They now have increased credits in crafting material, which I did see quite a bit of that. Bosses in hard mode explosive conflict now drop 5 black hole cons each. Players can no longer use certain abilities to avoid an exhaustion zone in this operation, so no going super out of the way to get around fighting shit. And that includes, jumping up top and getting blown out of the water, because I saw that when you're running through the tunnels. We had one guy who was playing with it, and he actually died once. He kept doing it to see if he'd die again, which was kind of weird. A number of changes have been made to Explosive Conflict Story Mode in order to make it more accessible for pugs. Let's see a couple of other notes here for EC. Torn and Zorn. Frenzy now increases damage less per stack, so a little bit less damage per frenzy. Toth now waits longer before using area of effect abilities before jumping. After jumping. Fearful now increases the damage taken by a lower amount. The amount of time before Toth and Zorn enrage when one dies has been increased. The enrage timer for the encounter has been increased from to 6 minutes 30 seconds. Under Firebrand and Stormcaller, where that retarded tank couldn't figure out how to jump onto a tank. The activation time for Incinerate Armor, Double Destruction, and Defense Systems has been increased. Incinerate Armor no longer increases the damage taken in addition to its armor debuff. And shield generators can no longer be damaged by players. Thank you, God.
Yeah, they took that away.
Which is good, because if you're tab targeting, that shit sucks.
That's what happened to me when we were doing that the first time.
But,
well, actually, no, what I did was I hit a fucking AoE like an idiot and fucking lit them all up.
Oh, I was right. That was Kefis at the end of that run, by the way.
Yeah.
Colonel Vargoth, probe droids can no longer use cleave. The enrage timer for this encounter has been increased to 4 minutes 30. Under Warlord Kefis, the time before Baradium bombers explode has been increased. The damage of the Pulsar power droid's rail shot has been decreased. Kefis's damage in the final phase has been decreased. The damage of the Trandoshan warrior's reflective shield has been decreased. The enrage timer for the encounter has been increased. So once again, overall, pretty much a nerf. So those of you who have been unable to go and get it done, might as well go in, give it another shot. The people who want to cry about the fact that they're nerfing certain sections of the game, keep in mind, as they roll out new stuff, they want to make sure that players have the access to the older stuff too. So while you're in your top level gear and you're beating your heads against nightmare modes, we appreciate your effort for elevating the game's complexity. However, do keep in mind that as people are getting through the game, they may not be getting gear together as fast, but they should, in relevance, be able to get into some of the old shit, and that's exactly what we're doing. This isn't necessarily decreasing damage on everything. It may be on the hard. We're talking hard modes and story modes, nightmare modes are what they are. They need to be that way, and I don't think they should change those. Under Karaga's Palace, it says Bone Thrasher can now be attacked more reliably with abilities that require you to stand behind the target. Proximity mines no longer spawn during the G4 B3 heavy
puzzle boss.
Oh, that's what that is? Okay, so the puzzle boss, which is exactly what we did, and that's only in story mode that particular thing is taking place, which is good, because the proximity droids were a pain in the ass anyway. Of course, we've got our group finder changes. Players participating in Group Finder now have the ability to teleport to the Group Finder and have the ability to teleport to the group finder instance at any point. Players who leave an active group finder instance can now be returned to their location they were at when they traveled in, using the Travel Now dialog button. Once players reach the checkpoint and defeat the operation boss, they may choose to exit at the normal area of leaving the entrance, leaving through the main door, or they can travel wherever the hell they want. Players no longer receive more than one Travel Now message, which is something that's been an ongoing issue. Completing group finder missions or for operations now reward a lockbox that contains 5 black hole comms and 30 Kalumi commendation, which is good for anybody getting their gear up. Let's see, I'm gonna probably hit 1 or 2 more sections. The planet side thing is really, really fucking long. But let's see, we get back here. Alright, so under items it says the majority of offhand items can now be modified. Shields, generators, and focus items, except armoring modifications, vibro knives, shotguns, except barrels. Additionally, they can contain a color crystal, mod, or enhancement slots, though the color crystals are not going to affect the item itself as far as its look. Note that there are exceptions. Not all offhands can be modified due to this change. Previously damaged offhand items will be fully repaired, but items that were on the GTN or in the mail will have their durability reduced to 0 and will need repairs, which is part of why the auction house took a shit on us when 1.4 dropped in totality, and then came back up the next day. So the people who were online bitching can kiss my ass. Yeah.
So, but the stuff that was in the auction house, they broke it, and so that when people get it out or buy it, they have to repair it too.
Well, no, they shut it down,
right,
so they could send it back to the person who was selling it.
Oh, they were just sending it back to everybody,
right?
And then broke it and then send it back to everybody.
Well, yeah, because
so now
it's got missing slots. Could potentially have missing slots. And if you pulled your shit out of anything, it's basically damaged at that point too.
Right. Well,
so it does more or less make sense.
Here it is. Now you got to pay to fix it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, at least they didn't let your auctions expire and then not give you your money back.
I think they just should have cleared the auction house and said thank you very much.
Well, yeah, maybe.
That would have really pissed. Where's all my shit? Well,
that'd have been hilarious.
I didn't have anything in there, so it would have been.
Buy now, pick up, and buy now legacy items can now be traded with up to 2 hours, which is great, because I got to give that dude, that healer dude, from our first run, a really nice relic. No, it was the other one. Oh shit, I don't remember what his name is.
Doesn't matter.
Oh shit, I fucking forgot. Solamir. Yeah, I had a relic on Naga that basically increased my healing, or gave me the chance to give an extra heal for 480 X amount of times, and that one the second one dropped. It was like a 380, and I was comparing them. And I was like, well, fuck it, I'll just need on it. Well, then when I read all the way through the stat, it said that it basically shares a cooldown with the other relic, so it would have done me no good. So I gave him that one. Let's see, items purchased at the vendor can now be sold for the full price up to 2 hours. Stackable items, mission items cannot be traded back or sold back at full value. The 2 hour time is terminated if the item is augmented or modded. Bind on equipped items cannot be refunded. Cannot be refunded in commendations if they are traded, mailed, or put in the guild bank or listed on the GTN, which was actually really good because I bought I didn't say this during my week, but I went and I got my healing my healing holocron thing, my relic. I ran and got all those yellow shards so I could get the red shards so I could get my healing relic. Naga. Well, one of the things you have to get is that stupid fire, the flamethrower, so that you can melt the ice block on Hoth.
Right.
So I spent 18 grand on that. Ran out there. That's how much that thing costs. I can't help it. So I ran out, I melted the ice, got it back, and returned it for the 18 grand because I did it in less than 2 hours.
So you rented it?
Yes.
Cool.
I put a deposit, sent it back, and it looked fine. So he gave me my deposit.
You didn't break it. Still full of fuel. Okay, right on.
Lock boxes have a 2-hour timer. Terminates when opened. The formula that determines the extraction cost of modifications has been adjusted. Cost to remove premium and artifact modifications have been reduced substantially. The cost to remove prototype modifications has been decreased slightly. So those who want to be like me and you have your social gear on, or you have an old set of gear like lanyard, and you want to get your mods in there, it's going to cost you a great deal less. Hopefully, I haven't put that one into action, but presumably it'll.
Neither have I, but that's because I was scared.
As long as it's less than 30,000 a fucking mod or 40,000 a mod,
Jesus,
I'll be happy. The heavy sonic disruptor can now be drawn. It cannot be drawn correctly by characters. Legacy items now drop more frequently. New offhand items are now available from the black hole vendors, and the Circa Create-O-Matic no longer causes players to become invisible. So no more turning yourself invisible, you little cocksuckers. Let's see. We got general under PvP. There's a short list. I'll go over those real quick. And then hit the war zones, and then we'll go through some of the bottom ones. All right, shit, scroll too far. Scroll. All right, under PvP it says level 50 daily missions, no quarter, and march them down. Now only require 4 war zone completions, down from 6. Winning a war zone still counts as 2. So. If you didn't have enough time in a day to get 6 done in a day, or you were unlucky enough to get nothing but losses that day, you only have to suffer through 4 sucks to make it, or 2 awesomes to make it. The resolve system has been greatly adjusted and fucked up beyond belief. Oh, whoops, that was my. Now we discussed about how this was going to work. Your issue was the stun lock till death, and the stun lock till death has pretty much been unlocked. Congratulations. I felt like I was wearing, fucking paper underwear on Naga. Every time I turned around, I was getting another stun. My resolve didn't build that fast, and it was completely wiped out. Stun,
dead.
I mean, if
that
I
works
could keep
great.
people off of me, it worked out fine. And this is another one where we say they took a sledgehammer to something that could have just been nailed down. Originally the idea was that they were getting tired of having completely immune marauders, which is a pain in the ass, and I get that. Or high DPS classes in PvP, having them just bulldoze once they get their immunity factor up. But I never got resolve enough on certain characters to be able to even do anything. So I'm not real happy with resolve. Let's see. When a player becomes immune to the control effect due to resolve, his meter will not start decaying until after the current controlling effects expire, instead of decaying immediately after the target becomes immune. Players under the effects of a control ability now build less resolve. No shit. For other control abilities that target them, the exact amount of resolve that the player builds based on blah blah blah. Okay, this was done like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah, I was about ready to say we've gone over this.
A new codex entry can be found for game rules in the game rules section to help players who are unfamiliar with the details of resolve. So you can read that too.
Yep.
New recruit MK2 gear is available. The gear replaces the recruit set, which is no longer available. So if you have the old recruit set and you liked it, God bless you. Otherwise, just go and get the MK2 set, or if you hit 50, they'll probably send you a box full of it anyway. Unranked war zones now backfill empty player slots more frequently, which is completely bullshit. I got stuck in a 6 versus 8 the other day, and it was just waffle stop to hell. Whatever. Elite war hero weapons and offhands have been added to the PvP vendors. The cost of war hero weapons and offhands has been reduced. The gear has not, just for anybody who's wondering. And I read this and I thought it was kind of doofy. At the 3-to-1 trade-off for ranked, at one point it was 10-to-10. It was 1-to-1, which was kind of good. But basically it's 30 commendations to get 10 ranked. comms. So if you're trying to get your war hero gear, it's still going to take a long time. Non-flag players will be players will no longer be flagged for PvP when a hostile player uses beneficial effects on them. So if someone heals you, they won't get flagged. In war zones, leaving a war zone queue from the queue window now probably closes the join war zone dialog. In Hutball, arena crowd visual effects have been added. I don't know what the fuck they are because I'm too busy paying attention to the game.
Yeah, because look up.
I want to look around and see who's waving at me, who's holding up a sign saying go.
maybe your companions are up there with a big sign that says Ray cut, Ray cut, Ray cut.
Fucking out now. Rocket just gets destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's No Lany that you have in there, right?
Yeah. No Lany in almost every character but Rakat. I'm actually going to go in with his PvE healing gear and work on getting his PvP set together. Frog Dogs now hear a voiceover when they score their second point. I wouldn't know. I turn off my sound. The time limit in Hutball has been reduced from 15 to 13 minutes. That is true, and it does actually build a sense of immediacy.
Yeah.
The teams trying to kill it before the time's up really do hustle a lot more now. And I don't know what the areas that were originally be able to avoid AFK possible. I want to know something though. You know, those fixes. The one thing I don't see on that fix list: hiding in the fucking Hutball pedestal.
Yeah.
I don't even know how the fuck you do it, but people do it on every fucking match now. And they never die.
And they were supposed to fix that within 10 yards.
Yeah.
Of the Hutball, when it respawns, it was supposed to be an insta-kill. They still haven't done that.
Well, and if you're standing on the pedestal...
But nobody ever did that.
Yeah.
They always stood, right, close enough to touch it. Well, why would you have to stand on top of it? I mean, it didn't make a damn bit of...
But once again, in the urge to decrease the time you're stuck in a war zone in Novara Coast, the rate of fire for each of the turrets has been increased from 8 seconds to 9, giving people a chance to maybe level out the playing field a bit. Players are no longer required to press the spacebar to exit the load screen. Under Void Star, in the event that neither team reaches the first set of doors, the winner is declared by the most dead. Players can no longer, in this one, it says players can no longer target area of effect abilities in the through the force field of the third room. Some locations, of course, that were AFK zones are gone. Let's see, space combat, which I know I got to read this one because this is super important to the whole fucking game. Items that granted repeated upgrades of the same type are now correctly accounted for.
That's good.
Power conversion module applies. Abilities now appear in the quick slot during the space combat missions for Imperial agents. See, yeah, I know, super important shit right there.
Well, if you're an Imperial agent, and you do a lot of space missions, and you happen to have that, that's important to you. The 1%.
Under UI, the title row in the panels for the guild roster and who list no longer occasionally disappear. And the inspect window now closes when a inspected character moves too far away.
However,
promote and demote buttons. However,
have you noticed that you can no longer right-click on a name in chat and invite
I have noticed something
or anything? You can't whisper on him. You can't invite. You can't. It used to be. I used to have a drop-down when you would click on the name in chat. It no longer does that.
Well,
so,
it's probably in response to that issue.
That's stupid because that was the easiest way to get people to invite. I'll go click invite instead of going, oh fuck, what was his name? Scroll.
Yeah, and when we're getting to the point that on the weekend we've got 3 Imperial fleets, it does get a little arduous.
Yeah.
At best. Let's see. The promote and demote buttons are now more visible in the guild UI. Players can now set their moods, altering facial expressions. The moods can be found in the emotes browser menu. Okay, so me and Lanyard were playing with these.
Might as well, because
astonished is of course the O face. It looks like she could, huff down a rather large zucchini.
She's waiting for a lightsaber.
My God. I'll be honest. Most of them they're retarded. I was like, how do you... Okay, first of all, you have to have your headgear off if you're going to do a mood. And what I would suggest is if you haven't played with this yet, play with it.
It's
it will
funny.
amuse the shit out of you.
For like 10 minutes.
Well, at least.
And then it's
10.
completely fucking useless because you can't set up a macro to make it change instantly. So, and unless you're standing this close to your character, you're not going to see it anyway. So.
Well, no, it does change slightly in the UI.
Oh, I didn't notice it on there.
It's really hard to note. It was hard to notice at first, but then once I removed headgear and everything, I was able to see her Naga's head just right. And you know, if you're an RPer, God bless you. That must be why they put it in there.
Thank God we got that.
I'm not an RPer. I did play around with the emotional effects, and it was I don't know. Maybe if they thought it out a little bit further, like when she was aggravated, she just walked around stomping. Or, she was depressed, she just kind of slouched her shoulders. Some little extra adjunct that would have made it interesting.
Don't give them any more bullshit to fucking work on, man.
Well, they're not going to work on it.
Let's put some stuff in there that, gamers use.
Like macros.
Like a fucking calendar.
Or macros.
Or macros.
Macros should be a simple thing to put in there. It's literally just a blank piece of code that you like.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be something that you can... like one button all your shit though.
That's why I like macros on my mage.
Well, okay. For instance, with WoW you could WoW you could literally hit code it out to where you hit one button and it would pretty much run your game. Whereas like in Rift you have to set it up to where, like for instance, it has to work off your cooldown. So your first attack. It has to be the longest cooldown, your second attack the next longest, and so on and so on. So that way when you hit the button, if it's still on cooldown, it moves to the next, it moves to the next, it moves to the next. Okay, do that. Then it goes back and resets. That'll limit make your macros smaller, and you wouldn't have, and it limits some of the stuff. But for your RPers, if you want to, give the fart look while you're killing somebody, you could type it into a macro. I don't know, macro so that you can apply, that you can advertise for a guild.
Yeah,
that would
just
be nice.
General macros, like with the vent. I hate having to copy it off of a notebook and then paste it into the game.
Oh, the vent info. Yeah.
Right. So macros in general, they do have daily uses, and they would be helpful, even if you were advertising your guild or whatnot. I can imagine most people are dual monitoring it so they can post it off of a notepad or something. Moving on. Activating multiple UI panels in rapid succession no longer causes the game to become unresponsive. Okay, sure not. Players can now use Shift right-click to equip an item directly onto their companion.
Handy.
In chat, PvP messages such as becoming flag can now be toggled off in the chat options. Let's see, the description of chat preference group awareness ping now more accurately describes its effect in the tooltip. Under the maps, it says the accuracy of Promenade map on Nar Shaddaa has been improved. We were just over on the Promenade. I don't remember seeing any improvement.
I don't see. I never noticed an inaccuracy.
The map of the Dark Temple approach on Drum and Cost now reflects the world. Now better reflects the world. Several areas of the map that would incorrectly transition to a new map have been corrected, and the much waited for greatest section of all, miscellaneous bugs. Jedi consulars arriving on Balmora are no longer facing their ship door upon entering the spaceport.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, because
that was a game killer for me. I'm coming back now.
I was locking the door. I wanted to make sure I locked it.
Right? You were just testing that. I got OCD. Click, 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 click.
I got to make sure I'm out of the ship at least 7 times.
That's right.
Fuck, I'm outside this. Oh, man, this sucks. The Drum Cost Nexus Cantina rest area has been slightly adjusted.
I like
haven't been there, so I don't know.
Just
Fennel.
Bigger.
Yeah.
It's just bigger.
Like
in other words, you get into the rest zone a little quicker. The Nexus Cantina is huge, right? Nexus Cantina is huge, right? I mean, as soon as you walk in the door, then you go around a corner, then you go down the stairs, and then so once you hit the stairs where the mailbox is, that used to be the old zone. Now it's as soon as you get inside the door.
Oh, wow. The Fresnel Research Facility on Balmora now displays the name correctly.
I love that, because it's written in that fucked up language, so only some asshole like me would be like, dude, that don't say that right.
Oh, shit. Let's see. Trees and moving objects no longer now cast animated shadows in the game world. Shadows are smoother, and players will notice improved self-shadowing. Additionally, the shadow system has been optimized to increase performance. Players utilizing AMD Crossfire or NVIDIA SLI options will see a boost in performance. To see the changes, these changes in shaders, the shader settings and shadow settings must be at high. Well, if they were running SLI and Crossfire, they were already running on high, so I don't know why they'd up it.
No. Well, now you will see their improvements. Because before you were running on high anyway, but then they improved what they already had, and now you'll see those improvements.
So for the 10% of people who have Crossfire or SLI running, congratulations. Several minor art issues like floating objects, seams in the terrain, and issues with disappearing geometry have been corrected.
Yay.
Not entirely true, but okay.
Well, some areas.
Well, you know the daily where we have to protect the shipment for the inside?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I always go to the one that's directly on the right side of the stairwell.
Okay.
And I always put my back to the wall. Well, if I turn my camera, there's no mountain.
Awesome.
So whatever. Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's a miscellaneous bug fix.
It's a little stuff.
There's more bugs to be had. Squash. I hate to say it because I love the game, but squashing miscellaneous bugs in this game is like trying to kill roaches in the ghetto. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Every time you fix one.
Yeah. 3 more pop up. Many places in the world where players could get stuck have been fixed, which may or may not help Lanyard.
I'm still looking for him. I am the guy that seeks out the stuck zones.
Several typographical errors have been corrected. An issue that could cause display problems after changing a video card has been addressed. Players can no longer use some abilities near ledges to avoid taking fall damage. Players performing certain emotes while riding the Jawa balloon has been fixed again.
No, before it was if people are sitting, standing, sitting, standing, sitting, standing, it used to drop them, it ported them directly below the balloon. They fixed that one. Now, if people are so bored they're just doing multiple emotes, it would teleport them back to the start.
You know, at this point I'm beginning to think that
I'm
while
not
you're
getting
on
on
the
that
fucking
fucking balloon,
maybe you should just be on the balloon.
Go take a shower. Don't touch your computer.
It takes a fucking hour.
It's a 45-minute ride, man. You go to the store, you know, watch a movie.
And finally, in the miscellaneous bug fixes, changes to the grass quality slider in the options are now apply immediately when the player presses OK and apply. So that's that. Like I said, I wanted to read it all, but we've got another segment from Brutis, and I've got a little bit more to talk about.
Okay.
So we're going to kill the news and go into Brutus.
Killing the news. I wish I had a gunshot.
Hello, and this is Brutus, your loremonger. Since the release of Terror from Beyond, I'm going to end up doing the Gree this week. And for the fact that not many people know about the Gree, since Lanyard thought that the Gree were the droids that were on your ship on the pub side, he thought those were the Gree, so I'm going to do an episode on the Gree. But they are an ancient civilization predating the Republic itself, going really far back into the galaxy's origins. They were a minor species compared to everyone else. The main superpower at the time was the Celestials. You hear a little bit about them. I'll explain more about them in a future episode. But the Celestials had enslaved all the major species like the Gree, Calamai, Rakata, humans, several others. They enslaved all of them for a purpose. If you want to find that out, read the book series Fate of the Jedi, which takes place after the events of the movies. way farther away. Coming back to this now, after the enslavement, there was a major power vacuum. The Celestials were gone. No one knows how. So the Gree were actually able to advance themselves to a major power play at that point. And they got to a point where it was at the height of their empire. They got into war with the Kalmai and the Rakata. Humans were still kind of downplayed at the time. Pushed back to their borders, which is actually one of the borders is Astian. They were actually able to use hypergates to quick travel, so to say, in between places. Although the hypergates, they were only used for their main primary homeworlds. So it didn't spread out more. They had a fleet. They did have a fleet of ships, which got pushed back by the Rakata. The main problem with this war was that the Gree were very individual mastery of items. Let's take our version of schooling as an example. In our schooling, you can spread out all the skills. The Gree, they just brought them back. They just had one person focusing on it, and then if they died before teach their knowledge to someone else, they basically lost all that knowledge. So, in the events of the game, if you've played the Terra from Beyond storyline, you hear about the Gatekeeper and he doesn't know what to do. It's because he actually has no knowledge of it at all, and so he was left in the dark. If he figured out anything, it's by chance. And then, so they were actually on a cultural decline at this point, and they'll go on to a further cultural decline all the way to the events of the movie and beyond. Now, also with the Gree, their technology is vastly rare. It is very rare. And if you find it, it can basically buy you a planet. But the thing is, no one knows how to work it. Actually, I lied. Some people know how to work it. Dreadlords figured out how to work it. I don't even know how. And I'm going to talk about that later. Their technology is very powerful, and it can literally change the field of battle if you get one of those type of technologies for weapons. They also had artificial intelligence, which basically could control a whole starship if it was the right size and everything else like that. The problem is, a lot of this technology was destroyed because of the Rakata's infinite empire, destroying all these things and enslaving all these places. With the Gree, like I said, there really isn't much info out there. There is some codex entries. Astian is more of a planet where they balance the ecosystem by bringing in species from other worlds through the Hypergate and stuff like that. And just to think about something, when they come out with the new patches and things like that, I believe it was a SWTOR Strategies article about the foreshadowing when they did an article with the developer or something like that. I cannot be sure, but it involves the overall storyline of the game. You had, forget the solo operation, but you had Karaga's powers where the Dreadlords supposedly pushing the Hutts out of their own space. So you have that. You also had the fact that they invaded a planet where they've had all this beradium, which is a compound of high explosives. Then you have the events of Terra from Beyond, where they actually were able to figure out Gree technology when the Gree couldn't even figure it out, and that they were able to open this hypergate and bring something from somewhere into that hypergate to let it out. So they actually somehow were able to figure out that technology. And also, as a fact, if you remember the events of the Grand Acquisition race, if you finish it out, a Gree fleet is coming back. During that whole operation, not one mention of this fleet was brought up. I don't even think the Gree were even aware that this fleet was coming back. So the question remains, where the hell is this fleet coming from? Why is it coming back? What is it going to be even used for at this point? And what the hell is going to be happening up? I predict that it's going to end up being the events of the last patch where we get to end up killing the Dreadlords or something like that. It's just something for everyone to think about more, just in terms of the storyline, because that's what this thing is basically about. BioWare really doesn't get any points for storyline anymore, but it is an evolving story, as they've stated pre-launch and stuff like that. And with all this foreshadowing stuff like that, it actually gives you some thought into it. I really actually did not even think about this until someone mentioned it, and then I went back to the operations and looked at the storyline about it, and it actually is very interesting about it. That is it. I have no other info to give at this time. Until next week, this is Brutis, your loremonger, signing out.
Alright, and that's another episode from Brutis, our lore monger. You might want to unmute your mic, you dingus.
Mentioned that I had thought that the ship droids were a Gree, and that's not right. I thought when you're doing the Black Bisector quest mission on the pub side, and you get the Black Bisector, and you're talking to those robots that talk inside and out, they had mentioned, the little lady that introduced you to the robot says, this is so-and-so from the Gree Consortium or whatever. Mm-hmm. I thought those droids were Gree, which I thought was weird because they were droids, but they were Gree droids. Okay, whatever. But now, so not the ship droids that I thought there, Mr. Brutus. I thought those droids down there, the Black Bisector, where you go down and play in the sewer and kill the kids, or make the kids starve. Or give them money.
Or pay them to go away.
Yeah, I just make them starve.
Evil bastard. But overall, the changes, not that big of a deal for me for this patch. I really. Here's my thing, okay? When you change something in PvE, and you know it's gonna, or you change something because of PvP, and it completely jacks up the playstyle that we're used to. And normally the crying amount of people is going to be the ones that make up the minor amount, the people who want to be able to PvP and are getting tired because they're not close enough. Rakat sucks at PvP because I haven't figured out how to make his arsenal spec work for, PvP. Mm-hmm. So I just fucking avoid it. But I have a dozen tunes. And I make concessions where necessary so that I can enjoy my PvP section of the game.
The one thing that they've got to learn fast, any MMO maker, one thing you've got to learn quick, make your characters, make out your balance, have it all set up. If it works, great, leave it alone. The more you try to balance it, the more unbalanced the game becomes.
And it becomes a non-stop round of balance, unbalanced, balanced, unbalanced.
Yep.
But, I did have a lot of fun. You helped me get those pieces so that I could get my tanking relic on Lany, no matter how aggravating that was. And, of course, I really wish I would record it, Vent, because that was an epic flip-out from Lanyard. If you guys really, if you really want to, get in and be part of the guild, then we welcome you, too. Yeah. And it's something else when Lanyard goes into a tangent, beats the shit out of most of the tangents that I've heard from Kevin on a 7-year scale. Lanyard flipped the fuck out. But we got the tanking relic on Lany. We were able to get the little cunning gem, or cunning up, which didn't help at all because we're both on
part of your lore.
But we got the little pieces of lore. And it was nice. We hadn't done a Datacron run in so long that being able to get in there and do that.
I really need to set one up.
and
I only had a calendar. I could probably do that.
You thought that getting to that Datacron was a bitch. The yellow shard that you have to get from Coruscant was actually more aggravating because while this one was very annoying in a short space, the other one was more annoying in a much longer space. Because I would make it across a couple of pipes and then fall down. Have to run all the way back around to the start point and start all over again. And it was a good 5-minute walk to get to the start of it. So if I got nearly to the Datacron, I literally had to walk 5 minutes back around because they disabled the ability to use speeders in that area. Because that's in the works where all the pipes and all the droids are. Yeah. But overall, great week. Had some fun in EV. Had some fun in KP. Looking forward to some fun in EC or to Nova, however you want to address it. And with any luck, we may have a decent enough geared group by the time we get done, or towards the end of this week, that maybe we could even jump into TFB. And once again, guys, if you want to join our guild, it's Wookiees Taste Like Chicken on the Prophecy of the 5 server. I know re-rolling sucks balls, but until they give us paid transfers, and probably with the free-to-play program, they're going to offer paid transfers to any server you wish. You can re-roll for the time being and ride it out and join a character maybe or a class that you haven't played yet. In the event of you want to play, you're strictly a pub style player, more than welcome to join us on. Oh God, brain fart. Boulder Dash on our Boulder Dash Guild on the pub side. Either way, jump. If you have a headset and mic, jump in, vent, shoot the shit with us, enjoy the hilarity. We have friends from old games, friends from new games that are always jumping in and out, that we're always talking and shooting the shit with. Come and join us. But man, that's everything. That's the whole damn deal. We want to thank you guys for supporting us as always, and we'll see you in the pit.
Thank you again for joining us here on Sith Talk. Lanyard and Dedekar look forward to talking with you next week. Remember to follow us on Twitter at SithTalk, or stop by our Facebook page at facebook.com/SithTalk. And of course, our Gmail is SithTalk@gmail.com. This music brought to you by freeplay.com. And remember, peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain power. Through power I gain victory. Through victory my chains are broken. The Force shall free